Good morning. Hello, hot mama or papa, whoever is watching and is kind of curious about the process of getting your son or your little baby, like your girl, to sleep train. So we've got almost a 5-month-old right now, and we've been getting the sleep training for 2 weeks now. It's officially done, and along the way there has been lots of things, and I want to just come here and touch upon the things we've done and my feelings and my baby's progress and how he is doing right now. And yeah, either way, I had a baby. Yeah, that's the first thing I should have said. I had a baby. So he's such a sweet little boy, but ever since he was born, he had sort of sleeping problems. He never was as newborn, as if, we were always up. He slept, but he was waking up all the time as a newborn, which was okay. Even though I didn't like it, it was the process we had to endure, and we did. And over the month 2.5 to 3.5, everything was so perfect. I cannot even describe it. Like, he wasn't sleeping almost at all during the days. It was a struggle to get him to sleep during daytime. Naps were crappy. I had to look out for there is sleep cycles, and you have to look out for the cycles in order to get him to connect the cycles, because he cannot connect them himself. And yes, I did that for a month and a half, even maybe 2 months. From month 2, 1 week in month 2, he had this massive change, and he started literally one day, he started not sleeping well. And ever after that day, everything went really bad. And it was the same time we went to our hometown, and we initially planned to stay there for 3 weeks, which turned into 2 months, almost 2 months, because of the heat wave. And our hometown was relatively, just a tad bit less hot than Istanbul, so we had to stay. We did what we had to do, and we did that. So anyways, and his night sleeps were almost perfect. I cannot say how perfect they were when he was 2.5 to 3.5. And one day, again, he started to wake up twice. I said, okay, maybe he's waking up twice right now, and that was okay. And then another day, he started to wake up 3 times. Yes, 3 times. And I always thought, okay, if he's waking up, because that was how he did, if he was waking up, then probably he's hungry. But he wasn't hungry. 3 times became 4 times. 4 times became 5 times. And I couldn't understand it. I thought always, like, he's hungry, but how he is so hungry? And the weather was extremely hot. We were trying our best. He was sleeping in a nappy, even just nappy. But even though we tried our best to keep the house very cool, it was almost 30 degrees in his room. And I was thinking, okay, he's sweating so much, that's why he's waking up. And because he's sweating, then maybe he's thirsty. He's not really hungry, but thirsty. Anyways, that was my logic. And I started to sleep with him, because there was no way I would move back and forth to his room, which he sleeps in a different room. And that was impossible. So I started to sleep with him, because he was sleeping in a big, like, king size bed, and I was sleeping next to him like a mummy. It was not safe, but we were doing this. Okay, that was the case. So when he turned 4 months old, I was adamant to get him to sleep train. And I found a woman, which was easy. Somebody online, I've never met that lady as well, suggested me that they worked with that woman, and she was so perfect, super helpful. So we started to work with her, and she was indeed very, very helpful and taught us so many things. But when the training started, you're trying to get your son or little baby to sleep independently, see? And you slowly reduce, all of the things you do. For example, I was patting him in the butt and then I stopped that. I was maybe singing to him, then I stopped that. And you stop one thing after a couple of days, stop one other thing, and slowly you move back from the bed or crib or whatever. I was in the same room for a week or so. Then I start to go next to the door and then out the door. There was only music. There's only this very nice Mozart music that he loves to go to sleep to. So I opened that and yeah, I leave basically. Everything's perfect. But he was sleeping 30 minutes. So 30 minutes became 1 hour or so, and we were trying this method. So if he wakes up at 30 minutes, if he's not crying so badly for your help, if he's just like fussing, then you leave him to it and he's connecting the sleep cycles himself. And you can wait for 45 minutes, 1 hour, but after 20 minutes, you can go in and say, okay, let's go to sleep because it's all already sleep time again, whatever. Just like assure him he has to stay in the crib, in the bed, whatever. And we did that. And it helped to connect the cycles for him. But lately, again, something's going on. Maybe this is a leap week. I have no idea. She's suggesting it's a leap week. Everything's going worse for a couple of days, especially over the weekend, which was yesterday, and the day before was so bad. Again, I was crying, and the first days he protested so badly that he was crying all the time, and he couldn't go to sleep because he was almost always nursed to sleep, then rocked to sleep if it didn't work. If nursing and rocking to sleep didn't work, I was like doing this motion, which helped him a lot, and at the same time we were holding hands. And even all of these things did not work. We were just going out to walk, and he would usually sleep when we were walking. So it was a mess. Now everything is better better. Yeah, I can put him down and maybe he's settling down in 10 minutes or so. I put him awake, fully awake, not even half. I put him down fully awake. We say our goodbyes. We have a routine. And just the important part, you have to have a routine every single time he naps, every single night. So one other thing that was really hard for me, and I could not really do it so well. That's why maybe during the days we are still having some protests for my baby. So she said at night you're going to dream feed him at the same time every single day. And it's impossible for me to wake up at the same time because he doesn't go to bed at the same time every night. That's why he doesn't nurse at the same time. So he has different needs. So I kind of plan, like if he nursed at 7 p.m., then went to sleep at 8, then I'm trying to get the balance. Maybe he can eat at 10 before I go to bed, because I cannot. She's suggesting to wake up at 11. And I'm like, I go to bed at 10 or 9:30 or whatever. So I cannot, I tried, cannot wake up comfortably at 11 because my baby doesn't wake up at that time normally. So like, why would I do that to myself? Like I tried 12 and then 12 to 4, or like I tried so many things, doesn't work. For example, I tried 12 and 3.5. Then my baby wakes up at 3. So what would I do? And she's suggesting if you have got fixed hours, then you're not going to nurse. You are not going to nurse. Like if he wakes up at 2 and you're planning to nurse him at 4, you're not nursing him, basically. You're trying to tell your baby that it's not your time, you're not hungry. I made sure you're not hungry. I dream fed you a couple of hours ago, you're not hungry. But what if he's uncomfortable? Like you're waiting for a couple of minutes for him to settle down. If he's crying really bad, 5 minutes. If he's not crying very bad, 20 minutes or so. So you're not intervening early. That's the thing. I was trying to balance out not intervening, being a mom, being compassionate, being a teacher even. Like everything was so mixed in my head. Still is, by the way, after 2 weeks. Still everything is so mixed in my head. but I sort of got the idea. But the thing is, with night feedings, see, if he woke up at 2 a.m., you're trying to settle him down, but you're not giving so much help because he's already learned to sleep independently. So she's saying, like, you're not petting him. If I pat him to sleep again, which I did once a couple of times, and she was like, why do you pat him? You don't need to pat him. You don't, to just be there. And when I was in the room, she was like, why did you get into the room? You have to be outside for 20 minutes. And like, he's crying so much that, oh, you should have gone in. I'm like, what the heck? How can I get all the things done at the same time? And one day she's like, why didn't you go in earlier? And one day she's like, why didn't you go out? Like, what the heck? How can I know which one is the best? And I was kind of relying on whatever she said to me at the beginning. And now, slowly, I feel like I should rely on my own instincts because she cannot know better than I do, right? So he was like crying an hour. If he cries an hour, then at night, by the way, then you can feed him. I'm like, why do I get my son to try an hour? And I could never do an hour. I have never done an hour. And I didn't tell her basically, but I didn't do an hour. Maybe like a couple of minutes. I did 20-25 minutes of crying, and it's so uncomfortable. Then I nursed him, and he was obviously so hungry. And I didn't end up waking up at 4 a.m. and just he slept through a couple more hours until the morning, until he has to wake up. And if he wakes up, for example, at 6, which he does, and you're not intervening again, like you're giving the message out that he has to sleep more. I think overall this was a very nice experience in a way that now he sleeps so much better. Now it's been 1 hour and almost 25 minutes until he began his first nap, and it's perfect. And yesterday it was just 35 minutes and it was chaotic. The second nap also 30 minutes and he woke up. It was disaster yesterday, and I cried yesterday so much. But then today is perfect. Like, how can you know one day is different than the other? So I assume if you get your baby outside, have fresh air, have interaction with other people, then he sleeps so much better the next day. That's what I see. And our trainer told us to stay at home as much as possible, get all the naps at home, and you cannot have your baby sleep in a carrier, in anything else other than his bed right now for 2 weeks and 10 days. How many days? Almost like 25 days. And I said, this is impossible, which I did most of the time. I've only went out 2 times. One day we went out for 2 naps. We had to. One day we had to go to passport photo thingy, and we had to get the last and shortest nap outside, which was a disaster. And yesterday he had his last nap again at somewhere, but this was perfect because he, for the first time in his life, went in the water. We had little, like session in the water, and he slept so well. Everything was so perfect. So I cannot constrain my baby boy for 25 days to only our home just for him to sleep. So I'm trying to find the balance myself. The training is over, as she said, but we still have some issues, and she also thinks this is the leap week, and she's going to just see how we did over this week as well. So I'm gonna send her the notes I have. That's basically it. So I highly suggest to get your son or your daughter to get sleep training, but you have to remember their mom or their father or whatever, their caretaker. You have to remember the sweet spot. So I don't know, it's going to be difficult. I know it is difficult. I cried my eyes bawling for a couple of days. He cried, I cried after he went to sleep, but it's worth it. But it's difficult. Just want to let you know about my experience. It's been 15 minutes. So long. So but we haven't talked in such a long while. It's a long talk. I love just giving some parts of my life out over in this online platform, which maybe nobody's gonna watch, but they're gonna know. Yeah. Oh, yes, tea. Perfect. All right. Have a good day. I congratulate you if you have a baby, and I wish you good luck. Not every day is the same. Today started well, maybe it doesn't end well. I hope it will. Bye bye.